The coffee trembled in her hands like an unstable grenade. Hot, dangerous, ready to explode at any moment. Renee knew absolutely clearly under no circumstances could she spill it. Renee was 27, intelligent, hardworking, and far too qualified to be serving coffee at 9 a.m. But as the only black woman in a sea of white shirts and perfectly tailored suits, she'd grown accustomed to her role. A quiet smile here, a polite nod there, always quieter, always invisible. She'd mastered blending into this world of expensive leather chairs and polished tables. Today should have been no different. But everything changed in a heartbeat. Carefully navigating between chairs, trying not to distract executives deeply engaged in serious discussion, Renee noticed a stack of papers marked confidential, dangerously close to the table's edge. Reacting instinctively, she gently pushed the documents back, preventing them from falling. Nobody even noticed. She allowed herself a quiet smile. Small victories, right? "What exactly are you doing?" The voice snapped, like a whip, freezing Renee mid-step. Mr. Ellison, the CFO, known for impeccable manners laced with thinly veiled contempt, fixed his eyes on her. The room instantly fell silent. 12 pairs of eyes stared at Renee as if an insect had landed on their fine china. "Sir, I was just—" "Were you looking at those papers?" Ellison's voice was polite, yet filled with suspicion. "No, sir, You're paid to serve coffee, Renee, not handle confidential documents." A ripple of discomfort swept across the room. Renee's heart pounded painfully. She'd saved their precious secrets from scattering onto the marble floor, and now she was being accused? "I just moved them away from the edge," she whispered. Mr. Ellison raised an eyebrow, his lips twisting into a condescending smile. "Right. Just keep your hands limited to coffee from now on." A few people chuckled softly, compounding her humiliation. Renee swallowed hard, feeling shame burn her cheeks. Each suppressed laugh chipped away at her dignity, bit by bit. Renee stood frozen, humiliated. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee, usually comforting, now nauseated her. Bright sunlight streamed through tall windows, illuminating expensive watches, cufflinks, and perfectly styled hair. Her worn shoes, black blouse, and cheap slacks suddenly felt grotesquely out of place. Her heartbeat thudded in her ears, drowning out resumed conversations at the table. Taking a deep breath, she tried to steady her shaking hands. Her mother's voice echoed softly in her mind, something she'd always repeated. "Keep your head up, Renee. Whatever happens, keep your head high." But at that moment, even lifting her chin felt impossible. The coffee continued trembling, symbolizing her barely held composure. Renee glanced around the room. The executives' faces had already returned to indifference, as if nothing had happened. They'd already forgotten her. Just another minor inconvenience quickly dismissed. But Renee wouldn't forget. Ever. Turning away slowly, something caught her eye, a small red dot blinking in the corner. The security camera. Always watching. Renee bitterly wondered whether the camera had captured her small act of kindness, or only her public humiliation. Would anyone even care? Renee felt dozens of eyes drilling into her back as she returned to her station outside the meeting room. Her fingers still trembled when she set down the coffee pot, taking deep breaths to steady herself. But things were no longer fine. Half an hour later, Amanda, the always smiling HR manager who loved to say their company was like family, approached her. "Renee, we need to talk," she said politely. A minute later, in her office, Amanda calmly informed Renee that management was concerned, and her work area would now be restricted solely to the kitchen and lobby. Returning to her place, Renee felt utterly cast aside. Now she wasn't just a coffee server. She was a security threat. Her phone vibrated unexpectedly. A voice she didn't recognize spoke softly but urgently. "I saw everything on the camera. Meet me tomorrow morning at the cafe across the street. Be careful." The next morning, Renee anxiously entered the bustling cafe, searching for her mysterious caller. Soon, a tall, older man approached, glasses reflecting seriousness but also kindness. "Renee, right? Sit down." "Who are you?" "Call me James. I was a security guard at your company until last night." He calmly placed a phone on the table, showing a video from the security camera. Renee watched herself gently moving the documents away from danger. Moments later, Ellison was clearly seen whispering something mocking to a colleague. Then, shockingly, footage revealed Ellison returning later to secretly slip those very papers into his bag. "What's this mean?" she whispered, stunned. "Those documents prove serious financial fraud," James explained. "Ellison planned to accidentally lose them. You stopped him, so he humiliated you to divert suspicion." Renee felt rage and bitterness surge. Her humiliation was merely a smokescreen to cover his lies. "What do we do?" she asked. "You have a choice," James replied gently. "Stay quiet and serve coffee, or take a risk and tell the truth." Renee remained still, his words ringing louder than the cafe's noise. She remembered humiliating stares, Amanda's cold professionalism, Ellison's arrogant smile. Suddenly, surprising even herself, she stood abruptly. "I need to do something. Will you come with me?" 10 minutes later, Renee stormed into the boardroom during another executive meeting. Ellison's eyes widened in shock and anger. "What are you doing, Renee? I thought I made myself clear." Without a word, Renee boldly stepped forward and accidentally spilled hot coffee over Ellison's documents. Silence crashed down instantly. "What do you think you're doing?" Ellison shouted, enraged. "I'm sorry, sir," Renee replied quietly but firmly, meeting his eyes. "Just an accident, but I'm sure the cameras caught everything clearly, just like yesterday, right?" Ellison froze as security guards, accompanied by police officers led by James, entered the room. "Mr. Ellison," James said calmly, "we need to discuss some missing documents." Ellison paled, panic filling his gaze. Within half an hour, it was over. Ellison was escorted out. Amanda approached Renee quietly, embarrassed. "Renee, I'm so sorry. We were wrong." Renee looked at her steadily and said calmly, "It wasn't just you, Amanda. The entire system was wrong. I'm glad I helped it finally see that." She left the office slowly, breathing freely for the first time in ages. The sky seemed clearer, fresher than ever. The system that had imprisoned her in humiliation had cracked open, all because of a simple cup of coffee. Everything now depended on what others would do with that truth. In the boardroom, a large coffee stain remained, an undeniable reminder that even the smallest actions could change everything.